To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not just their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art. Welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast.
All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to
The Chiss Ascendancy.
episode 67. And today we are talking about The Bad Batch. We're reviewing episodes 1 and 2. And so we kind of have obviously an idea of what we want to do with this. Something we want have a template, as it were, from the Mandalorian reviews. And so I'll give you an inside scoop as to what that looks like. We're going to do our overall thoughts, and then we're going to do our standout moment from each episode. So we're going to review 2 episodes. So we got to stay a little on track here.
Maybe a little frosty.
Yeah. New characters that we liked. So that's kind of obvious for episode 1. And then rate it 1 to 10. And then what do we think is next? What's coming next? So we'll get into that. Before we do that, we had a little bit of interesting news I wanted to talk about. There was a book that was on Amazon for like a week. That was a Star Wars book that had the whole typeface and everything, that was not sanctioned by Disney and has since been pulled.
Mm-hmm.
So the book is called The Heart of the Jedi by Mr. Kenneth C. Flint. And it's crazy because this is the cover of the book. It has weird things like on here. It says copyrighted material up there at the front. Of course, again at the bottom. But I mean, what's not on here from the original trilogy? You've got Leia, Luke, Han. At the top, you kind of have Ghosty.
I don't see any Palpatine.
There's old Ben. There's obviously Darth Vader. Down here, it looks like you're on Tatooine somewhere, and looks like there's Jawas. There's obviously some stormtroopers going on. And so the story goes that years ago, I want to say 1993, Kenneth Flint got the green light to write a Star Wars book and wrote a whole Star Wars book, wrote the whole thing, got it edited and everything, and then it just vanished from the face of the earth. So this would have
Must be like one of those cars that runs on water.
Right.
That gets bought out by GM, and then
exactly.
The planes go into a safe and they never come out.
Yeah. We're going to keep this fish,
it must be that good. The rest of Star Wars was threatened.
Yeah. So here's the crazy thing.
Freaking Kenneth keeping it under his hat.
I know. So that's the crazy thing, is that it was, what happened was nobody found out what had happened to it for years. I mean, obviously I was born in 93. This is 20 years old. And all of a sudden, the manuscript for it pops up online. Well, I don't know who did this, but somebody, a fan or a company or somebody, gets the artwork, gets the book, gets everything, and prints it. Starts printing it. I don't know who did this.
Brilliant.
And here's the back of the book. It says Kenneth C. Flint. This is how you know it was done by somebody that was looking for this book. Kenneth C. Flint's lost novel arrives to bookshelves at long last, return to the Star Wars universe once more in The Heart of the Jedi. So this is obviously post episode 6, but obviously coming out in 93. That was all that we had, was 4, 5, and 6. It says Darth Vader and the Emperor are no more. The Alliance has officially become the New Republic, as Han Solo, Princess Leia, and the new Chief of State, Mon Mothma, emerge triumphant against the diminishing Empire. The Imperial remnant fights on until the long-silent Imperial Senate rises up to call for peace. But not everyone wants peace. And High Admiral Tharkus, so I guess that's comparable to Grand Admiral. Again, it probably didn't make it all the way through the Star Wars filter.
Because Tim Zahn, I think, was the first person to talk about a Grand Admiral.
Right.
The first one we knew of would have been Thrawn.
High Admiral Tharkus has made plans to ensure the Empire will reemerge under his rule. At his side stands the mysterious Dioscuri, Dioscuri. Scoroi? Dioskouroi. Beings of rare and deadly powers.
I bet it's Dioscuri.
Yeah, something. Okay, for Luke Skywalker, exhausted from years of fighting, the time has come to depart upon a journey of discovery. A journey that will lead him to a secret long ago hidden by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
What was this secret, you ask?
Yeah, you got to read it to
I
find
don't
out.
know. Yeah, I didn't read the book.
So here's the
Obviously.
thing. It was on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
No longer on Amazon.
Yeah.
So in the week or so that it was up for sale, I think it was only up there for about a week.
Mm-hmm.
It was the #1 selling Star Wars item on Amazon. It outsold Light of the Jedi. It outsold Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good. It outsold any of the other High Republic stuff, kid novels, comics, all that stuff. Into the Dark by Claudia Gray. It outsold every Star Wars item literature-wise. So it rose to this high prominence, and then the mouse found out and pulled the plug. Luckily, I got one.
Did you really?
I got one. Yeah, it's on my desk. And so
Is
I
it
looked.
nice?
It looks like a real book.
Hmm.
It looks like it doesn't look shoddy.
Did you see who the seller was?
No, I just bought it. I didn't ask any questions. I'm sure I can go into my. I don't think you can see it in my orders because the item is no longer there. I can find the email.
I've
probably
ordered stuff before that doesn't exist on Amazon anymore, but the thing is still there, and if you click on it, it's like just the missing.
Yeah, so I'll try to.
Missing item.
It says okay, so
You should at least have the confirmation email. It'll have the
right. Yeah. I assume this guy sold to Amazon, so it was a Prime item. It was a 1-day Prime thing, so it was fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah, but
so
Amazon still does that for stuff that they don't sell directly.
Right. So here's the thing: is that I was thinking, okay, let me try to find another. If I can find if someone put on eBay or something, and give it to you, so we could review it.
And you can find it on eBay for $600.
It was $350 today.
I freaking knew it, dude.
Because it had the super limited run.
Yeah. Do you
So
know how many copies happen to be out there?
No clue.
Heck.
I have no clue. But I
We
was
get in touch with the black market today.
Because I remember I sent you a thing and I was like, hey, I don't know how long this is going to be out here.
Yeah.
I sent that to my buddy Finn. I sent it to Jared Grigg. I think Jared got one.
Oh, good for him.
And so, but I'm sure that you can find the EPUB document out there somewhere and read it on your iPad. But it looks like a classic 90s Star Wars novel. But I feel like I have this archaic secret piece of history.
Yeah.
So I'm actually excited to read it. I will say this.
Call that esoteric, the secret knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. It's the hidden gems you don't even know you're looking for. I did talk to somebody on Instagram that said they had just started it and it was so good. And this was somebody, I guess, who has read the other novels that have been out for a while. And they said up to snuff with Light of the Jedi and better than Greater Good.
Crazy.
So we'll see. But I have it on my desk to read. I'll see if I can find some kind of a document or something to get you a copy. But isn't that wild?
Yeah, it is buck wild.
So, I think it would have, if it was obscure and sucked, it could have just stayed on there forever.
Yeah.
But because it was like, this is the Star Wars that so many people fell in love with during the EU that got canceled by Disney. So a lot of hardcore old school Star Wars fans were like, stick it to the mouse.
Yeah, I was
stick it to the mouse.
Reading Betrayal the other day, just carving away at it.
Aaron
a bite
Alston?
at a time. Yeah. And Luke was doing some buck wild stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He force pushed simultaneously in two directions.
Yep.
It's my understanding that that's kind of difficult to do.
Well, I'm finishing. I'm at the very tail end of Outcast, the first of the Fate of the Jedi series, which comes after what you're reading, also by Aaron Alston. Rest in peace. The guy's no longer with us. Awesome author. So it stinks because my favorite Star Wars author for a long time, before I jumped into Thrawn and some of the
Karen Traviss, yeah.
things, was Karen Traviss. So it was Aaron Alston, Karen Traviss, Troy Denning, and they would rotate for Legacy of the Force. And they were supposed to do the same thing for Fate of the Jedi, but she had some qualms with Lucas or whatever, not George, but the company. And so they ended up voiding, kind of mutually parting ways. And so Christy Golden is the female author in the Fate of the Jedi series, which she's good. I think she does Dark Disciple.
Yeah. Well, she novelized it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a little different, but she did a good job. I like the book.
Yeah. But it stinks because I never got Karen Travis stuff again. And there's like 5 Republic Commando novels, and there's supposed to be a 6th and final. It was the last one, and you can find out. She sent me an email because I contacted her a couple years ago, and she sent me an email with like basically the plot line for book 6.
That was nice of her.
And I was like, oh my God, this is what everything that I wanted to happen was going to happen. I didn't get it. So if anybody's out there and can put the manuscript for that book up on Amazon for a week, I will get it. But
Anyway,
yeah,
we got
just
a lot
kind
of
of a
material
crazy
to cover
thing.
here from Bad Batch.
So my question to you was, before we jump into it, I want to get your read on every member of the Bad Batch, and your thoughts so far. We've gotten a little bit more time with them as individuals than we have in the past. So going down the list, obviously you need to have seen the Bad Batch episodes 1 and 2 by now, because we're going heavy spoilers. It's a review episode.
Yeah.
So you came into this season, or the series, I guess, and Crosshair was your favorite, I believe. Hunter.
I hadn't picked a favorite. I was tentative about it.
Okay.
I thought Crosshair's helmet was really cool.
Yeah. Hey, so shout out to you,
Yeah.
Samuel.
Freaking
The Chiss prophesiers, the prophets, I guess is what we would be. The prophets continue. We're still going.
Which is ironic because we haven't made any money from the show.
Right.
No profits
Yeah, exactly.
for the profits.
We make sense, but we do not make dollars. So one of the things we said was, what's your favorite helmet? That was one of our leading up to this thing a couple weeks ago. And
I think it was you or Adam was like, how's he going to fit his helmet over there?
yeah, it was me. And
Yeah.
I said, man, that helmet looks so thin for his Lobot ears. And you said it makes sense that they would click into place. And it did. So
It
good
did.
job.
Yeah, we saw the helmet profile, and it just had the front of the helmet, basically.
We watched episode 2 separately, all
Yeah.
3 of us. But all 3 of us got together at my place for episode
Dude,
1.
they knew we wanted to see it, too, because they freaking hit him behind, was it Wrecker when he was putting his helmet on?
Yeah.
And he couldn't see it, and I was like, oh.
But yeah,
God
it has
damn
the
it.
little indention.
Yeah,
So
it
that
looks
was really,
sick.
really cool, which makes total sense because
Yeah.
it's a part of who he is. Okay, so I'll name the character and you rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. How you feel about them so far this season?
I don't know if I can do that.
Okay. Here, we'll try it. Okay.
I'd rather just describe them as I've seen them.
Okay, let's do this. Rank them favorite, not to least favorite, but just like stand out to least stand out so far this season for you personally.
Okay. I can do that right now.
Okay.
I'm going to go Hunter, Crosshair, Tech, Wrecker, Echo.
Okay. I will go. Ooh, okay. I'll go Hunter. Hunter's obviously the coolest character. Echo's also last for me.
He's been really underwhelming. Is it just me?
No, it's just we've had a lot of him already, I think, so they want to open up.
I don't care about having a lot of him. He just seems relatively useless.
He seems okay. I get that the droid hand does things that Tech can't do as fast.
Yeah.
But I feel like Tech can
He
do
does,
anything
yeah,
that he can do.
literally anything.
Okay, Hunter's my favorite. I don't like Crosshair because for obvious reasons, but he is compelling. As
I think
a
he's really
character.
cool. I mean, like, you hate
I
him.
actually feel bad for him.
You
I'll
love
get
to
into
hate him.
that.
You know what I mean?
Hunter.
He's pretty ballin', though.
Okay.
Whether or not you like him.
Hunter. Wrecker. Crosshair. No. Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, Crosshair, Echo for me.
Okay.
And Crosshair's only so low because I'm mad at him. But as a character, he's doing really good.
I don't hold a grudge. It's not his fault.
So let's jump into. There's that book again. Let's jump into episode 1,
Okay.
The Aftermath, I want to say, or maybe just Aftermath.
Bad Batch Aftermath. Yeah.
Yes. So let's jump into it, and I'll ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah, hit me with it.
So overall thoughts, meat of the episode. What do you think about it?
I thought it was really good. I was hoping to get some Order 66 action. I was not disappointed. We got to see Kid Kanan, so that was really cool. I thought the character development was pretty good because I think they're allowed to be kind of shticky in the Clone Wars just because they weren't the main characters. You know what I mean? They were
Yep.
supplementary. So
Yep.
I think they've done a good job kind of bringing them along a little bit, letting them stay true to type, but, have a little bit of depth. I thought Omega was really cool. We all like how, dude, her New Zealand accent is so thick, bro.
That Kiwi accent.
Yeah. Omega.
Yeah.
Omega. It's
Yeah,
like a hard E.
I guess I had maybe during the trailer I heard a little bit of her,
Yeah.
but hearing her without all the fanfare and music behind her,
Yeah.
dude, her accent is thick.
Yeah, it's all the way there.
way stronger than
Yeah, any of the
clones.
Yeah. Oh, and shout out to you. You're like female clone, and I was like, yeah, maybe. So that one came true.
There you go. I was excited for OMEEGA.
Omega.
Yeah. Oh, she is cute as crap.
Yeah.
I just want to give her a hug.
We saw that meme, and it was like Ahsoka started really annoying.
Became a hero
Ezra
or whatever.
started really annoying, and then Omega starts awesome.
It was like already awesome.
Yeah, she's dope.
Yeah. Okay, so overall thoughts, you liked it. You liked the character development.
Yeah, I thought the storyline was compelling. They got my main man. I don't think he's a Grand Moff yet, but
Tarkin.
yeah, Tarkin's in there. What they call him, Admiral Tarkin.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool that they kept his military rank.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I hope that they do him justice. Like, I hope they pull more from the novels than they did with Thrawn. I'm hopeful because it seems to be like in the style of Clone Wars more than Rebels.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. I just hope that they get to showcase his thing because you don't really ever see a lot of him that's very impressive in the films or in his previous action, the Clone Wars. But in the Tarkin novel, he's so dope.
Yeah, definitely.
So I hope that he's a compelling villain.
Yeah, I thought he was super cool. And okay, so for you, standout moment was probably Tarkin being on screen.
Yeah, that was freaking dope. Yeah, that was probably my biggest takeaway. I was just really excited to see him again.
Okay. New characters, obviously
Tarkin.
OMEEGA. I guess he's new for the show, I suppose.
Yeah. No, Omega I think is the coolest introduced character. I got to see my favorite clone commander, Commander Fox. That was cool.
Yeah, he was on Camino, which was strange.
Well, and I thought that was kind of cool.
I assume that was Fox.
Yeah, I mean, it would kind of have to be.
In charge of the Coruscant Guard.
Unless he stayed back, you know what I mean? That's entirely possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the shock troopers are freaking dope.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool inclusion.
Very interesting that in the Clone Wars, the shock troopers seem to be more like standardized, more
I
this
think
is the way things are.
I think they're just so much closer to Coruscant. They don't have like a flimsy moral compass. Like, it seems a lot less relativistic. Like, they were much quicker to shoot. That droid barely touched him for a half a second. He's like, oh, "Don't touch me, droid!" And just shot him. Just freaking shot the droid. That was ballin'.
Yeah. Okay. And then we'll skip what's next because we already obviously know what happens in episode 2. But rate it 1 to 10. So not 1 being the worst episode of anything you've ever seen, and 10 being Empire Strikes Back, but 4
I'm gonna give it like an 8.5.
a Clone Wars type episode.
Yeah. It wasn't the Mortis arc, which is like my 10 for a Clone Wars style episode.
Right.
I really did enjoy it.
Yeah.
I loved everything about it.
It's weird, and it shows how great Filoni is at his job.
Right.
But you can have like 5 different kinds of shows within the Clone Wars style of show.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, like, I love the Mortis arc because I love the lore.
Mm-hmm.
I love,
yeah, and it feels so different to the other episodes, but it's still within the continuity, I guess you would say.
Right. I agree. Okay, I'll go through mine. Overall thoughts, loved it. One of my main thoughts was I could sit down and watch an hour and 20-minute episode of Clone Wars / Bad Batch every week.
Yeah, every week.
The
I was
opening-
a little sad to see that it was only 30 minutes on Friday.
Yeah, the opening where it says the Clone Wars and it burns away and it says the Bad Batch, that was freaking sick with the red lettering. So that was really cool. Standout moment for me, number 1, seeing Kanan was cool.
That was really cool.
And I sent you that meme of, oh my God, who's that freaking ugly guy that's all
Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi. And I don't know what this is from, but he's in high school and he goes, "How we feeling, fellow kids?"
How we doing, fellow kids?
Yeah, because Kanan's like,
I hate how easy it was for me.
"I'm 15. Oh no, master!" Like, that's not how Freddie Prinze Jr. sounds. But it was like, dude, full on Kanan, basically. I wish they could have animated his voice somehow to make it a little bit lighter.
I think they just want like the natural texture, you know what I mean?
Not everybody's freaking D. Bradley Baker, you know what I'm saying?
True talk.
So I loved seeing Kanan. I loved Order 66. Here was a huge standout moment for me. It was a dream come true, a prophecy, perhaps. Remember I said I would love, and I don't remember if this was on air or off air, but I remember saying, as silly as this seems, I would love to see Clone Wars style animated versions of every movie.
Yeah.
And what did they give us?
They did.
The beginning, they gave us
cool.
like freaking frame for frame.
Little recaps.
Clone Wars style of Obi-Wan and Anakin and Grievous.
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh my God.
Hey,
seeing Grievous do this number.
What'd you think about Captain Gray?
Loved him. In the comics, he looks different and he's Commander.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of got a red look, but we have so many red clones, so I thought the green and white was sick.
Yeah,
I
was
like
really
that.
cool.
I like that colorway better.
Yeah.
So I liked him a lot. Seeing Diva Balaba, which is Kanan's master, seeing her fall, that was really sad. I loved seeing Order 66 happen all over the place. I loved seeing the animation of the call coming in with the little hand chip.
Was it just? Did they get? Okay, so they did get Ian McDermott to do the voice.
Yeah, what they did was they just used the clip from episode 3.
Right. I think they might have, but I think they might have also got him to redo it.
You think so?
Yeah. Because I feel like the inflections are slightly different, and he's credited as the. Oh, never mind. It says archive sound. Okay.
Yeah.
But I remember I commented on that. I was like, I love that it's true type to episode 3. That they actually have those sound bits.
Yeah, I was gonna say another standout moment, and it was cool to see how the clones reacted to Palpatine's speech about the Republic will be reorganized.
Yeah,
that was really sick. I love watching that on Camino. And then a standout moment for me, and this is what I was gonna say about the Coruscant Guard, the shock troopers.
Were you shocked to see him there?
Nah, zippy zip. Tarkin was dope. Freaking just off the charts, savage as always. Doesn't give a crap. Okay, here was what I was going to say about
those sweet baggy pants.
Yeah. For
Wide
those of
thighs
you who
will
are,
huff.
For those of you who are watching or
to
listening,
replace Dirty Hands Dooku.
That's funny. The pants aren't his whole hip. They're baggy. I know you know that, but some people were like, wow, Tarkin's really built.
He is thick.
Yeah. She's thick, God. Okay, so
just squatting tree trunks every day.
One moment that really stood out to me that made me feel bad for Crosshair, when you look at the Bad Batch, minus Echo, because he just got really screwed and they felt bad for him and they adopted him basically.
He literally got screwed. He's probably got so many screws in his body.
Yeah. His whole respiratory nervous system is droid.
Yeah.
So,
you would think his reflexes would be faster.
Right. So Wrecker, his mutation is very, very evident. Not just bodily, but personality-wise. Same with Tech. Tech is very awkward. Tech has irritated
I would say
me.
If you talk to Wrecker over the phone, you would know there's something amiss.
Yeah, definitely. Tech has annoyed me a few times so far this show because he thinks things are obvious to everyone else. And there's a leadership guy that I subscribe to named San Chand, and he says he's a guy born in India, has a pretty heavy Indian accent, and he says, "What might be obvious to you, others are oblivious to it. So make sure just because it is obvious to you that you not expect it's obvious to everybody." So his thing is, when you're in leadership, just because you can't expect somebody else to know. They might be oblivious to it the same way that you might be oblivious to theirs.
So I fall into that a lot.
Yes.
Like I have a lot of,
you do.
I perceive things differently.
Yeah.
And I just I don't even think about it. So,
to you,
I relate to it.
It's not that you're not even frustrated that they don't understand. You're frustrated because in your mind they do understand and they're deliberately doing the other thing.
Yeah.
And that's Tech is not angry that they don't understand, but he does assume everyone else understands.
Here, I have one thing that he did that I hated, but it was from episode 2.
Okay.
I hated that Hunter was like, hey, can you replicate these chain codes that we heard of 5 seconds ago? And he's like, oh, even though I just heard of them moments ago, yes. Yeah. I was like, I hate that. I hate it so much.
Why did you hate that?
Because it feels like such an explainer. You know what I mean? Like where lines are written in, so things are explained. You know, like in a book, it would just be written. It would be explained, but they have to explain it through dialogue. Yeah. I just hated how kiddie it was that he was like, yes, obviously, right away. Never know when they are. Don't even know what they look like. I'm gonna make them right now. Yeah. I don't know. It just felt like too cheesy. You know what I mean?
But that's tech.
I guess so.
It's
I just hated it.
Glasses under his glasses.
I hated it so much. Like he said that, and I was watching it by myself. I was in my room. I was like, ugh, like out loud. Just hated it.
The one that got me was when it was like.
When they're talking about OMEEGA being a clone.
They're talking about OMEEGA being a clone. They're talking about the inhibitor chips, and he goes, "I thought that was obvious." Yeah, and I was like, well, "It's not obvious to everybody, Tech." But okay, all this to say, I felt bad for Crosshair because it comes off to me that he is the one that is the least different from a regular clone. Probably the closest to what Jango Fett would have been like. Does that make sense?
Except for that Jango Fett only shot on his own behest.
What do you mean?
Jango didn't care about rules.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is Jango's personality, his aggressiveness definitely poured into him.
He is very aggressive.
And so they all have inhibitor chips, but because their personality and their mutations
are so divergent,
push against it, they don't really struggle. Hunter didn't. None of them struggled at all.
Right.
They heard, the order, I'm sure. They felt they were supposed to have gotten an impulse of some sort. And you heard Crosshair talk about that good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah, he had a bit of that Hup thing going on. You know what I mean?
Tup.
Is it Tup?
Yeah. And so the thing that got me was maybe this whole time when we were watching the Clone Wars, we were thinking the Coruscant Guard is kind of butts. Like, what's their deal? Why are they so stuck up? Why are they not like other clones? And remember in episode 1, we're obviously getting into huge spoilers here. Oh, sorry, guys. But my thought was maybe one of the reasons that the Coruscant Guard are so like formed first and they're not thinking of anything else is because their chip has been enhanced. Because Crosshair was leaning more that way. Tarkin saw it and he asked the Kaminoans, can we amplify the chip? And
that's an interesting thought.
They said, of course.
I think what is probably the case is that they went straight from Kamino to Coruscant.
Yeah, it's definitely that in part.
They interacted with the Jedi, I think, the least, because we see, especially with like Cody or Rex, how much their personalities are changed by the Jedi that they fight alongside. And they wouldn't have had any of that. So it would just been business as usual. You know what I mean?
You're around Wilhuff all day.
I think it's like Toy Story 2, like straight out of the box Buzz Lightyear.
He's mint in the box.
You know what I mean?
Never been opened.
He's like still straight out of the Space Academy or whatever.
Right, with a cool belt.
Yeah.
So overall, my rating, I would probably give it a 9 or a 9.5. As far as Clone Wars episodes go that are based on clones, it's cream of the crop.
Yeah, it's great.
I understand
really
it's not
it.
Mortis and those things, but
I just want to really reserve that 10 in case there's something that's extraordinary.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
So go ahead and move on to episode 2. Some really fun, familiar faces came into view. And so
I was pleasantly surprised that the kids' voices were less annoying this time.
I don't recall how annoying they were the first time.
They are obnoxious.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like the classic cartoon kid that talks through their nose.
Freaking hate it. Can't stand it.
Is that the joke?
Is that the joke? On the Man's Widow?
On the Man's Widow? You got her, Jane. You
really
got her. Oh, man, that's so funny. So overall thoughts, and I guess we can expand a little bit more on this because we kind of see what's happening in the galaxy. What are your overall thoughts on the meat and potatoes of this episode?
Something that I was... I had never realized that the chain code only existed under the Empire. Like, I didn't realize that that was an Imperial implementation. You mean
like kind of like their Social Security?
Yeah, like I just had taken for granted that that was the way it always was. But that's kind of like one of those changes that they've made because we had no reason to think that it wasn't a thing.
Right.
but it's like in the High Republic, they established that Bacta was like a new thing like 250 years ago or whatever.
Right, and in older books, it had been around for thousands of years.
It's been around for forever and ever and ever. I think it's just one of those. I think this might be the first instance of the mentioning the creation of the chain code. I thought that concept was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was really interesting, and I thought it was brilliant. The thing that stood out to me, or I guess we're not doing stand-up moments, but overall thoughts, I really enjoyed the episode. As soon as episode 1 ended, I looked up what Sector 17 was. What's Sector 17 mean? And that's the Seleucami system is within that, and that's where Cut is at, and his wife Sue. You know what I want to know? Where's Sue's baby daddy? Where's the dad of those kids?
Probably somewhere dead on Ryloth.
Not this guy. Tell you that right now.
I'll tell you what, those Twi'leks were getting shubtied during the war.
What does that mean?
You know.
Shafted?
Right up the main street.
Right up his jacksie, dwarvish steel. You know
Can
what
I
I'm
taste
talking
the dwarf is still right up his jacksie?
What was that guy from our old church that looked like that?
Tim.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, because I worked in the sound booth and he worked in the sound booth, and I'd see him every time. And I'm like, right up his jacksie. For years, I thought that. Like every time.
Dwarvish steel, right up his jacksie.
Yeah.
Speaking of jacksie, a freaking alligator crossed the road in front of me today.
What does that have to do with anything?
Okay, we're talking about dwarvish steel, right up his jacksie. Talking about Smaug. Smaug is a dragon. Alligator.
All right. Anyway.
You see the bridge?
I think you just wanted to talk about the alligator.
Well, it brought up my mind because of the dragon. Okay, so we're obviously from Houston, Texas, right?
Oh.
I'm leaving the parking lot at work, and there's 2 roads, like Robert Frost.
Well, and a lot of people don't know that Houston is actually like kind of swampy naturally.
Oh, yeah. Bayou City.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you think of Texas, you're like, oh, it's all dust and cows.
Yeah, but we're so close to a lot of it's marshland. So if it's not developed, you'll see it, and it's just basically a swamp.
Yeah, just a giant mud.
Yeah.
And so when I'm leaving the parking lot, I can go right and go down the feeder of the freeway,
Which nobody wants to do.
which is boring.
Yeah.
You know, what am I?
You're going to hit red
What is
lights.
this,
There's going to be people
What am
there.
I, a mouse?
Yeah.
Is this a rat race? What's going on?
Come on.
But if you go left, it's a few minutes
can't
longer.
keep a good dog down.
Wow, 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 wow. So, Charlie. Dude, that's the Lando Calrissian of the dog world right there.
Yeah, right freaking there, dude.
Charlie from freaking All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah, but after Solo, he already had a soft spot.
So, when I turn left, you go past this bayou, past like a freaking, not a state park. What's Deucin?
Yeah.
It's like a city park, state park. It's got pavilions and all that kind of stuff. And then you go this back road. It's kind of crappy road, but it's nice. It's woods and stuff like that. So I prefer that. Anyways, I'm going left, and I see this log in the road. There you go. I see this log in the road, but then it starts moving. And I was like, good God, what is that, a skunk?
What?
Because I was a far ways away.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, good God, that's a giant skunk. And as I'm approaching it like 40 miles an hour.
Wow, skunk, what big teeth you have.
What big scales you have, skunk. And so I'm getting a little bit closer, and I'm like, it's not a otter. Because
Clearly you've had a long day at this point.
Oh, yeah, I'm exhausted. But here's the thing. As I'm driving, I'm not thinking... I know that alligators can cross the road, but I've never seen it happen before.
You know, I
And I've
almost
lived in
hit a
Houston my whole
turtle
life.
on that road the other day.
Did you think it was a skunk?
No, I knew it was a turtle immediately. I drove over it where my wheels didn't hit it.
Oh. Did you pick up? Dude,
no, I
that.
didn't go back to pick it up.
I love that meme where
one,
the
because it
dad's-
was dark and that stop sign, the way they have it now, somebody could come up behind me really fast and just rear end me. They wouldn't see me.
Yeah.
And also, Mom imprinted into me so heavily how disgusting turtles are as a species. I was like, man, it'll be fine.
Have you seen that meme where the guy finds a tortoise and he's like putting this guy back in his home and he throws him into a lake?
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay, so I
Oh, no.
as I get probably 600 meters away, and I'm like, oh frick, that's a dadgum alligator, and he's strutting his stuff going across the
600
road.
meters is really far.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I saw him as soon as I turned left at a crossroads. That's why I was like, what the freak was it? He was on that curve.
Okay. From the driveway to the stop sign is less than 600 meters, I feel like.
No, I don't think so. 400 meters is a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, that's what, 3/8 of a mile? 600 meters?
Okay, I would say that as I left, I thought it was a skunk.
Okay.
And by the time I got as I started to accelerate,
yeah,
I realized it was an alligator. So I get up close, and he's still going. Because he had just come onto the road.
Yeah, what's he got to fear? Freaking nothing.
And
do you remember that dead deer that was in that
alligator's mouth a couple years ago? Yeah.
Well, and it was just there for like a week.
What scared the freaking freak out of me was that as he got into the grass on the other side of the road, he lowered himself.
Just disappeared.
And I was like, frick. Because I was looking at him so I could see him. But if we were playing disc golf, for instance.
Right, you wouldn't know he's there.
I would have walked onto this 6-foot alligator.
Yeah.
And he stopped because he was walking at a decent pace. And when I pulled up and I put my hazards on to watch him and take a picture of him or whatever, he stopped and was like this.
Was he hissing at you?
I couldn't hear him hissing because the car was going and Wolf was going, it's an alligator.
Yeah, he gets excited.
But he was I could tell he was looking at us and his mouth was open. So
Hey,
anyways.
have you seen that video of I think they're in like a golf cart or something and they drive up next to an
Oh,
alligator.
it's a truck.
And they're messing with
He
it.
tears the whole freaking fender off.
No. He bites the tire and pops the tire.
Oh, no. What I saw was similar thing.
I've seen that one too.
A guy's in a Ford Raptor.
Yeah.
And the gator's like, hope you don't want this.
Dude, rips the whole
freaking fender off.
ridiculous.
Okay, so
anyway, we're way
standout moment though.
We just talked about alligators for like 10 minutes.
Standout moment. I loved seeing Cut again.
Hey, the title for this episode is really funny. Yeah. Okay, so what do you rate this episode? So on IMDb, the last episode was rated a 9. So like right in the middle of our ratings on average.
For Aftermath?
For Aftermath.
Okay.
Which is getting to be a more and more common title in Star Wars. I think they should start to move on.
That's funny. I would say for episode 2, I give it it's like 7.5.
I give it like a 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 7.7 on IMDb.
There you go. We're right
so
there.
We're right. We are the voice of the people.
Yeah. We're Rotten Tomatoes, but for people who actually watch movies.
I told Dad, I was like, I think I could be a movie critic. I love watching movies, except for that my opinions of movies are too good. So apparently I can't be a professional movie critic because I actually know when I see a good movie.
It's very rare on Rotten Tomatoes that movie viewers and movie critics agree.
Yeah, they almost never agree. So I always look for the viewer reviews.
So I don't understand. Why if the big thing that people hate about politicians is they go up there and no matter what party you're a part of, or maybe you're a third-party libertarian, whatever, I don't care.
I'm actually a registered independent. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah.
But whether it's Obama or Trump or Biden or whoever, they're giving you all these promises.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of times they can't, go through with them.
Yeah.
And we hate politicians for that. Yet, critics constantly go against the will and voice of the people, and they still get paid. That's my question. Who's paying the movie critics? Because the movie people aren't paying them because they critique their movies. The fans aren't paying them because they don't agree with us.
I don't know.
Who's paying them?
We need to find out. We need to get to the bottom of this.
I'll
come back with answers.
Okay. New characters, not so much, but returning characters.
I guess magazines?
Of Sue, maybe.
Yeah.
Whoever's their ads for their websites at this point, I guess. So Cut is from Clone Wars, I want to say season 2, The Deserter. And he has a very, this is what Cut does, where he leaves and is married to a Twi'lek and decides, I got to do something for myself in the world. That is the essence of what I love about the Republic Commando series. Because I'm a huge fan of Clone Troopers, always been a huge fan of Clone Troopers.
Yeah,
and
they work for professional publications.
There you go. Nobody. And so the thing that really hurts me when I'm thinking about Clone Troopers as people is they have one use, in the eyes of the people. And in the Republic Commando novels, it talks about how when they're on 000, which is what they call Coruscant, because that's like core of everything. it talks about when they go out to buy a snack or when they're out in public, people either are like afraid of them because they know they're soldiers, or they don't really acknowledge them, almost like a droid. And so that made me really sad as I was really reading those books and realizing these are real people with real emotions, with real hearts, because this was kind of before Clone Wars was big.
Yeah, real quick, while you're talking about that, I thought it was interesting that in episode 1 they included so many standard clone troopers that we see like in Attack of the Clones in the Camino facility. There's all white armor and everything.
Well, that was something that was a standout moment to me. Was I read a post from somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they said without the heavy presence of love and affection in the Force that the Jedi bring around, and with the rising of the Empire and the activation of their inhibitor chips, you're seeing the calloused hearts of the clones that we could have been seeing the whole time.
Yeah.
But it's also the Empire. The Empire rids you of individuality. Like if you think about it, like you were saying on Camino, and on all the places we've been now, like typically, depending on what planet you're on, there's a different battalion and they're different colors and they have their custom helmets and all that really cool stuff that we grew to love in the Clone Wars.
Right.
And now it's like,
When
here's
they
the
move into the
Empire.
Stormtroopers.
Everything is white.
Yeah.
Everything is this. Everybody has this haircut. There's no double mohawk. There's no smiling. There's no tattoos. There's no joking. Everything is like, you're just one unit. You're just one thing.
Yeah.
And man, that made me so sad because it's really showing kind of the beginning of the end of clones as we know them, except for the Bad Batch. And so here's my thing: how does Cut not get influenced by the inhibitor chip? Is it because he's not around any other clones?
I
to
think he
receive
was
the
never.
order?
Yeah, I don't think he was around for the activation of the order. Because if the order never activates, you know what I mean?
So the order goes out to the commanders of like battalions and stuff, and they tell their troopers execute Order 66. And that's when it's like, okay, I've heard that.
Yeah, I think it has
Winter
to happen.
Soldier type code.
Yeah.
So what if they're just talking and Hunter's like, yeah, I don't know what happened, but Order 66, and Cut is like, kill
Yeah,
deserters.
You would think he's kind of like malfunctioned anyway, though, because it's so into the core of the clones to not desert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's already deviated that much. It wouldn't surprise me if they explained it by saying he had a malfunctioning inhibitor chip.
Maybe.
Because apparently somewhere along the way, his programming broke down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what gave him the higher
I thought it was cool
individuality.
that we saw those Nexus.
I was going to say, the Nexu were really neat to see.
Yeah, I'd never seen them on a standardized planet.
Yeah. That was really, really cool.
I can tell that I guess Filoni is a big fan of Attack of the Clones, like I am, because there have been a lot of pulls from Attack of the Clones, like the Nexu and the all-white armor.
Hey, what did you think about in episode 1, backtracking a little bit, I've really grown, and obviously part of this is the Republic Commando novels, but I've really grown to hate the Kaminoans. But the one that was Echo's caretaker seemed to really care for her.
Omegas.
What'd I say?
Echo.
Sorry. Wow. I'm so sorry, Omega. Omega's caretaker really cared about her.
Yeah, I think it is just like the proximity, you know what I mean? Like, mentally there would have been a distance between her and all the clones. But I think with Omega, she was like, had more of a caretaker. You know, she was less of an asset, more of a person.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the way that they talk about the clones, even with Bad Batch, even though they're deviant and so personal, they still looked at them as assets for the most part.
Well, I'll get to that in a second. So what you rated this one 7, and so where do you think we go from here? It wasn't a filler because a lot of stuff happened, but they came, they ate, they left, like the crickets in Bug's Life.
I think the main bit or the main point of this episode was to solidify the bond that Omega has
with Hunter.
Yeah, because this would have either been like they're dumping her off, which is obviously never going to happen, but I think there had to be some sort of bonding experience that would keep her around for the long bit.
So big moment is Cut and Sue and their kids are getting ready to leave, and Hunter wants to send Omega with them because they can provide a better life. They already have a family system set up that is safe. They're not on the run the same way that Bad Batch is on the run. Nobody knows Cut exists. He's already got a family.
How believable do you find it that he's about to board this ship? He makes eye contact with another clone, and the clone goes, "You look like," and he doesn't know that it's another clone.
Yeah. Well, the fact to me that Cut did not think to disguise his voice or
his face or his
wear
posture.
a traveling mask. Yeah, he goes, "Is there a problem?"
Yeah. I was like, there's a 0.05%
What if he said
chance that that clone doesn't believe
what if he said
that he's another clone.
"Is there a problem, brother?"
Yeah.
Like something real cloney.
Yeah.
These freaking Jedi, am I right?
I felt like that was a little bit thin. Or the fact that they're traveling in a pack as a bunch of clones and all the other clones are like, all right, nothing untoward.
The one that gets me is the fact that Hunter doesn't have a disguise on at all, and
At
his face
all.
is out in the open.
Yeah.
Wrecker is a huge guy, and he has a hat on, and he's carrying a big thing. He was disguised well. Obviously, Tech and Echo are out doing their thing, so they don't need a disguise.
Here's, more beef against Echo. He had like one job during the escape, and that was to get rid of the boot. And he can't do that, and the solution was that they just punched it off. You know what I mean? I'm like, Echo, what do you do here?
Yeah, I do love Echo.
I guess he did get the things secured.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Those chain code cards.
Yeah, he's a good guy. We'll see.
But,
he'll have a standout episode soon, I'm sure.
Well, and like even in the first episode when they get in the bar fight, basically everybody's like working to protect Echo. You know what I mean? He just seems kind of like dead weight.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of them.
He definitely, I would like to see him over time, like beef up a little bit. Like I know that he's gaunt and pale from his time with the droids, but
I think part of that is going to be that his circulatory system.
Can he not eat?
I don't know. He was eating, I think. He had a tray of food. Episode 1.
I think so. And then obviously a big deal is Crosshair's betrayal from episode 1.
Right.
Do you think that they'll have to kill him? Or do you think that they'll find a way to get his chip out and he'll rejoin the group and that'll be the end of the show?
I know Hunter, and I like to think that I do by this point.
He's not going to kill him.
Yeah, I think he's going to do whatever he can, especially now that they have the knowledge that they have between Tech and Omega. They're going to try and find a way to pull his chip.
Right. I saw a really funny meme the other day that was it's the hallway of the Tantive V4 from the end of Revenge of the Sith. Mm-hmm. And Obi-Wan's walking and said, Sidious was a Sith Lord the whole time?
Oh, yeah.
And Tech goes, I thought that was obvious.
Yeah. I saw that. That's funny.
Okay, so what's next? Where do we go from here?
I think it's just kind of open space. Quite literally. You know?
In my mind, I guess if I was them, I'd just try to find a real remote piece of land and hide. Kind of like that's what Cut was saying is you find a remote piece of land where you can farm and you stay out of everybody's hair and you handle your business. Mm-hmm. But I think two things. One, I think that they want to help Crosshair. That's one big thing.
And I think they're going to want to find a way to make things right. You know what I mean? They're not the standby kind of folks.
Right.
One question I had was why they didn't steal more chain code cards and make some for the group. But
yeah, they were there.
Yeah.
They stole 5.
Yeah, they might as well have just stolen, 4 more?
You know what they should have done is what I would have done is taken all of them.
Yeah, just take them all.
And threw them all in the trash. And they're like, frick, well, we're out of chain codes.
Just take more than you need and then make extra chain codes as a side gig.
Hide yours.
Yeah, work as a forger.
Make yours. Have them in your pocket just in case.
Obviously.
Steal them all. And then it's foolproof. Either you have one that you quote unquote got before, or when they go, okay, well, for the time being, we're going to go back to the way things were and you can leave as we wait for the new set of chain codes. That's what I would have done.
I'm just thinking long term down the road.
Yeah.
Just take them with you wherever.
Yeah, like Sam and Dean. You got to have like all your FBI cards, all your everything.
Right.
So what's next, in my opinion, at some point they're going to meet Rex. At some point.
Yeah, he was mentioned. I think he'll come up again.
Yeah, he's going to be in the show. I guarantee it. Does that mean meeting Ahsoka? I don't know.
I think they kind of split ways for good.
Kind of hope not.
Because the Ahsoka novel goes pretty far down the road for Ahsoka, and I think she's going to be laying low for the entire duration of the Bad Batch series.
Hopefully. I just feel like it's kind of like...
I feel like it would be overdone for her.
It's just... I need a break.
I think it'd be cool if maybe they took a little trip to Tatooine.
What?
Saw my old man Kenobi.
That would be crazy.
That'd be pretty dope.
Do you think we'll see more Saw Gerrera?
It's hard for me to believe that we won't if they work to introduce him so early on.
Yeah, maybe it's just a... But everything that we saw from him was in that first episode.
Yeah.
I kind of hope, and I know this is kind of silly because I'm also the guy that wanted Boba Fett to not only appear in The Mandalorian but become the main character.
You hope that he stays off screen?
I hope that everybody stays off screen except for the Bad Batch and maybe a few cameos.
Yeah, I think probably what's going to happen is this series is going to be like the A-Team. And
that would be really cool.
They're going to go around solving people's problems.
I would love to see.
Tarkin's going to be that military general that's always trying to track him down.
Yeah, that would be cool. I could 100% go for a little Wookiee action, some Trandoshan action, some them versus bounty hunters. They're trying to save somebody. Bounty hunters trying to capture somebody, something like that. Just some classic Clone Wars stuff.
Yeah, I think this is going to be Star Wars A-Team. Is what this is going to be.
And so here's my question to you. Little prophecy time. Can you see what our time is?
I can see how many measures into it we are, but we're probably about 50 minutes.
Okay. So my question to you is, here's my thought. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
When episode 1 came out of Bad Batch, Tarkin says these clones are better fighters than the typical clone, but they're disobedient and they're destructive.
Yeah, not good enough.
But they get the job done. And they said they do. And he said, how many of these clones do you have?
Yeah, I think, how many do you have left? Because they indicated that there were more.
Correct. And she said 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Echo is not included in that count.
Right.
OMEEGA is clearly included. But the Kaminoan was not going to just outright say it because Tarkin doesn't know Echo's full story, which is ironic because he was there.
I think if anybody would be able to put it together, it would be Tarkin.
Probably, but she was keeping it close to her chest that she was not lying.
But Tarkin is incredibly crafty.
I understand that. I'm not downing Wilhuff. Never would. But my thing is...
I wonder if Tarkin kills her.
Don't say that.
Why?
My thing is... What is OMEEGA's ability?
What was wrong with that?
I'm just saying it'd be sad.
No, Tarkin kills the Kaminoan for lying.
Fine. Whatever. The white gloves would be sad.
Yeah.
Okay. What is OMEEGA's ability?
She's a girl.
Not good enough.
I mean, she's clearly a crack shot. She never shot a gun before, and she blasted Crosshair from across the room.
Yeah. Okay, you want to hear what I've heard? Or what I have 2 things I think could possibly happen.
That she's basically female Jango Fett is what I would think.
Right. My thing is either A, she's force sensitive, and the desirable mutation is...
I don't see that because, 30 years later, the Empire is still trying to figure out how to make that happen?
Correct. But I think that... What if the Kaminoans figured out how to do it?
No one would ever be able to convince me that the Empire would not have appropriated that technology.
Just hear me out.
In 30 years.
If the Kaminoans figured it out, but the girl caretaker that we know from the show got attached to this little girl that had force abilities, and she didn't want to see her drained, for the project. So they kept the technology under wraps. And that's why nobody knows about it. That's just a big guess, okay? My second guess is what OMEEGA's gifts are, is what if she has all the abilities of the other 4 Bad Batch characters combined?
I would say that's the case if she was outrageously strong and stupid.
Okay. Minus the stupid part. Her senses are heightened because she knows... I was reading reviews and looking at things and kind of rewatching little clips.
Are you going to talk about where she was talking to Crosshair and she's like, I know it's not your fault? Because it seemed like she was a little bit, like there was a little bit of glimpse into the future that she knew what he was going to do.
Well, she has a heightened sense of, like, not just senses, like, sight and smell and things like that. she has a heightened awareness of like people's emotions and stuff like that, their intent.
Mm-hmm.
But also when Crosshair walked into the room, she immediately saw where he was in a group of troopers. She was able to pick him out from across the whole hangar bay.
I think that could also be explained by the fact that she knew exactly what it looked like, and he was dressed differently than the shock troopers.
Right. I'm just spitballing here.
Mm-hmm.
2, when she's in the ceiling, for being so small, she does the double fist and she does like this. She does kind of like the Kong smash, and the whole ceiling falls through and smashes those clones in episode 1.
I find those reasons less convincing than other possible reasons.
Okay, but follow me.
I am.
So those 2, obviously the crack shot from across the room, never showed up blasted before, but she was a great shot from across the room when she stunned Crosshair. And Tech is obviously hyper intelligent. And the fact that she picks up on technology very quickly, even though she's been kind of sheltered. Mm-hmm. And also the Kaminoan said she was her medical assistant. And she's like 10 years old.
Yeah.
So she's obviously very intelligent. So what if all the desirable mutations from these 4 different clones were all poured into one, and it's Omega, and she also happens to be a girl?
Yeah, possibly.
What do you think about that?
I think she's going to be more like a hunter type because she has a strong affinity for him. I think that it's possible. I don't like the idea that they would make her force sensitive, because the idea of installing midichlorians into like a new vessel is just like super tricky from what I've seen from everything else that's talked about it.
Right.
But I mean, there were places where she was really aware of the emotions of people, what their intent was, and also like stuff where she picked up the stuffed animal that Wrecker has, like just assuming that he would want that down the road, or knowing that it was his instinctively.
Mm-hmm. I think one reason I don't think it's the force sensitive thing, although I would be cool with it, I think it would be cool, but one reason I don't think that's the case is character gruff, comes across as, only cares about themselves, doesn't really have a soft side, finds this child in need, force sensitive. Like it's the same storyline. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be that. I think that she has little bits of. I think she's going to. I think she's going to come out being more like Hunter. And I think just because she latches onto him so specifically, I feel like she would have more of a well-rounded interest in all the other clones. Yeah. Because she would see herself in them. But you see her in the prison cell and she's imitating all of Hunter's posture, and he'll stand up and she'll stand up, or he'll cross his legs and she crosses her legs, or she's looking the same way. I thought that was really cute. Yeah. I'm very interested to see where it goes. She may end up being more useful than Echo to the Bad Batch. Oh, what if she puts her finger into this thing and it's like, it's unlocked? Oh my god. His little droid hand is useless. Okay, wild hair, and we'll cut it here. Mm-hmm. Wild hair, but who is a crazy character that you would like to see show up, but it's highly unlikely? Not something stupid like frickin' Quinlan Vos. Okay. Quinlan Vos would be a cool I'm always pulling for Quinlan Vos to show up. And I'm pretty sure, it's basically confirmed that he survived Order 66. It is confirmed. So by the time the Inquisitorius is a thing, he's still not found dead. I want it. That would be really sick. Dude, he would fit in so good with the Bad Batch. He really would. He's the Bad Batch of the Jedi, dude. He is. He really is. He's got weird, unusual powers. He doesn't really fit into the code. He's got a dark streak. He's the Bad Batch Jedi. But he gets the job done, and he still sticks it around. Yeah. He doesn't stray so far that he's uncontrollable, similar to the Bad Batch. He's even got unusual weapons because he's got the hand and a half lightsaber hilt. Mm-hmm. That's not typical. Yep. Dreads. Yeah. Of all the Jedi I can think of, minus Anakin, he's like the most likely to really kick it with the Bad Batch. I think Quinlan Vos could kick with the Bad Batch better than Anakin. Yeah. But I'm saying, as far as he's the other person I think that deviates from the norm the most. Right. Okay. So, let me think. Cook. Yeah, that'd be cool. Dirge. I think Dirge would fit. I'm inside your brain tonight. I think Dirge could give them a really big run for their money. And they already introduced him in a different comic. Introducing him in other things. And
All the signs are there.
The budget's never been better.
All the signs are there. I think I would be ecstatic if Dirge showed up.
And Filoni's, he's the master of bringing stuff back that could have been used before. Mm-hmm. And I think that
it strikes me because of Dave Filoni's other random interest that he would be really into Dirge.
Dirge hates Mandalorians. His idea is let's hunt down clones.
Dude, he's the perfect.
He's the perfect hunter.
Yeah.
No pun intended. A Dirge, okay, I'll go one step further.
With that,
a Dirge Boba Fett team up to take down the Bad Batch would be raw. Although the Bad Batch wouldn't survive. That's never going
to happen. But I mean, it would be not dissimilar to him having to work hand in hand with Crosshair.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for Boba Fett's better than Crosshair.
Yeah, but Boba Fett's still a kid at this point, and also on the lam.
Well, it also wouldn't make sense that Dirge and Boba Fett would work together because of the whole Mandalorian thing.
Right.
Yeah, he wouldn't work with Crosshair either, I guess. Mm-mm. He would.
It strikes me that Boba kind of also hates clones.
Yeah, my brother.
Yeah, he's got a mean streak because he feels like he's the only proper kid.
He's the only real one.
Right.
He's the only proper number 12.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, okay, man. So Boba considers himself a Mandalorian to Din Djarin, does not care two craps what Bo-Katan thinks about him as a Mandalorian.
Love it.
So I wonder, he would probably fight Dirge, though.
He has to.
Man, okay, so Dirge, what about Dirge and Cad Bane against the Bad Batch?
If Cad Bane shows up, he's going to have to die. Because he's got to disappear.
He's got to disappear before Empire.
Mm-hmm.
What if Dirge kills him?
Be pretty raw. Takes his hat.
It was a nice hat.
Yeah. Dirge would eat Cad Bane's lunch. You couldn't kill him.
Yeah, if they keep up everything that he was before, he's unkillable.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you say Voss, I say Dirge. Highly unlikely. But if it happens,
I think Dirge is more likely.
If it happens.
Also, I'd like to point out that we said it at the exact same time.
You heard it here first from both of us. If it happens. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, remember to like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching or if you're listening online, please, share this with your friends. Mm-hmm. And don't forget, if you leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and write us a cool review, we will read it on the air. And this is how the podcast grows, is that you share it with your friends. I can only post so many pictures on Instagram. But the more of you that subscribe, share it, things like that, get the word out there. Word of mouth does wonders for us. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the Chiss Ascendancy. Mm-hmm. We'll see you next week. May the Force be with you.
And just like OMEEGA with the rest of the Bad Batch, the only family we have here is me.
It's me. See you next week.